getting back to our webinars and allowing us to do the work in the spirit of community outreach. And today we have an eminent speaker, Mr. Madan Rao, who is an experienced administrator, teacher, and policymaker, all built into one. Yeah. So he is, in terms of his education, is the master's in chemistry, along with an MPhil, of course, and he has a management degree and MA in education. These are the things that he's done, and worked with Navodaya Vidyalayas for about 10 years before he moved on to work with AEES, which is Atomic Energy Education Society, which runs the schools at all the locations of atomic energy plants they have. And this has been doing it for 19 years, worked as a principal, as a supervisor of schools, and also he has participated, delivered several training programs in order to expand his understanding. He visited schools in the UK and Singapore as a part of AEES initiatives, and he's been a nodal officer for projects of AEES for the 6 5-year plan. He's been chairman for committee drafting IES codes, and he's also chairperson for, he's been chairperson for committee drafting of record retention schedules, member of various committees constituted by Atomic Energy Society, and a member of committee constituted by CBSE for affiliation of schools. And he has also been a center superintendent for various examinations. Basically, what I intend to communicate to you is that he's got tons of experience, which is coming to this. And from the bottom of our hearts, from me, Amol, and the entire Maruma team, a warm welcome to him. And of mention is that he was awarded the best teacher at state level by the then government of Andhra Pradesh '93, and he was instrumental in getting best school awards for 4 schools, and 2 of them on 2 occasions across atomic energy schools. And he's an awardee of the prestigious National Award for Teachers 2014 at the hands of the then President Shri Pranab Mukherjee, President of India. And what we're going to do today is to really decode. Mr. Rao is not going to talk about how the policy, how it is going to get implemented, because we don't even know yet. And the whole idea is to diffuse anxiety about what it will look like for teachers, for students. Where will it begin? Where will it end? What are the implications or possible implications? We don't even know what the implications would be. And my role will be to nudge him with some uncomfortable questions, which none of us have answers. That's what I'm going to do on the call today. And explore what it means for all of us. And all of us are in this together. So with these words, Mr. Rao, a warm welcome, and over to you. We are going off camera and off the mic unless you call for us.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mahesh Deshmukh, for your kind words. And I should congratulate your Maruma organization for arranging such webinars in different areas, actually cutting across. And in this particular COVID situation, you are meaningfully engaging variety of people out there. So as the job is given to me, it is decoding the National Policy on Education 2020. So actually, the first policy was in 1968, very long ago. After that, it was in 1968. It was revised in 1992. Professor Ramurthy Commission was there, Yashpal Committee is there, and then After 34 long years, the policymakers thought that this is the time to revise the education policy. So good thing prevailed. So let us see how it unfolds. But before that, let us see what is the document of NEP 2020, and then let us go forward. In between, if you have a question, as Dr. Mahesh told, you can just type in the chat box and we will definitely respond to that. Next, please. Amal, next.
Yes, I'll do it.
Amal. We'll see a small video.
सर आपके लिए उस पार कार का इंतजाम किया है सर। सर आइए सर प्लीज। ये चल चल जाओ बोला क्या बात करता है, क्या ऊपर से जाएगा, क्या ऊपर से जा जा
गया मेन शो।
I hate this country. कुछ करो ना।
मैं वहां जाके क्या उखाड़ लूंगा?
कैसी जाने बूंदे आई, जाने कैसा दर्द लाई, सामने क्या है ये तेरे, क्यों रुका है तू बता रे हो। कौन तुझको पार लेगा, कौन होगा वो मसीहा, वो जिसे तू ढूंढता है, वो ही है तू वही है। तुझ में तेरा रास्ता है, तुझ में तेरा है सहारा, तू ही तुझको पार लेगा, तू ही है तेरा किनारा। तुझ में तेरा रास्ता है, तुझ में तेरा है सहारा, तू ही तुझको पार लेगा, तू ही है तेरा किनारा। जिसे ढूंढता है तू ही रे, तू ही रे, तू ही रे तेरा मसीहा हो।
Right, that is the video. So you must have seen politicians, school-going children, employees, the vendors. But if you reflect on this, what you can think? Who is teaching whom here? Are the elders teaching the child, or the child is teaching the elders? So that is the big question for all of us to ponder. So let us go next. Next slide, please. So as I told that after 34 years, almost 34 years, the
Mr. Rao, can I hold you for a minute?
Yeah.
Do you feel a black patch on the slide?
Yeah.
Are you seeing that? Are you able to see the entire slide?
Who?
The slide.
Slide one.
Slide पूरा दिखाई दे रहा है कि black patch दिख रहा है आपको?
Actually, there are certain black patches, rectangles.
Amol, let me do the presentation.
Okay.
Okay. You stop sharing the screen. I'll try and get there. Okay.
While shall I just engage?
Yeah, you can continue speaking.
Okay. So after 34 long years, people thought that people at the level of the policy making have thought that, okay, this is the right time to just revise the policy on education. That's how this national policy on education has come 2020. Now, this is not a legal document, nor it is any constitutional one. So therefore, the committee has submitted, it is for the government to accept completely or accept partially, depending upon various factors. The outcome of this will be seen over a period of time. Okay, so that is how the introduction has come to this. And then when we go for the key proposals, I think Mahesh is on the job for the next slide. So for any country, I think 34 years is too long. At the same time, too frequently also it should not be tinkered, but definitely 34 years is too long. So therefore, now we come to the agenda for the day. In the NEP, what are the key proposals and vision? The component and structure, the assessment, very important component of the school systems or education system. How it is going to be implemented, a part of that will be speculation, and the stakeholders concerned. This is, I think Mahesh must have just tried to highlight in his introductory talk. Yeah. So the key proposals are the revision and revamping. Yeah, the first slide is that only. Just revision and revamping in all aspects of education. What are those all aspects? It can be structure, it can be pedagogy, it can be the assessment, it can be a regulatory body, it can be the governance, qualifications of the teachers, and recruitment also can be there. And if at all, what are the benefits for the deserving people over there? I am speaking about the teachers. So all this will come in the revision and revamping of all aspects of education. So next is to create a system for the 21st century education. Now, here I would like to just touch upon the sustainable development goals set by the United Nations. There are 17 goals. So the goal with regard to education comes in the SDG 4, that is Sustainable Development Growth 4. As per this UN's vision, by 2030, everyone should have been given the good education, quality to all, to eliminate all the discrepancies, the biases, gender bias or whatever, disparities, safe environment in the schools. This is very, very important because so many unfortunate incidents we hear and see in the schools. So therefore, safe environment in the schools, eliminating all the discrepancies. Then also the education for specially abled children. So these are the 21st century goals. So the NEP 2020 also touches on this. Then the next is the creative potential. Howard Gardner, when he proposed the theory first about the multiple intelligence, I think there were 7 intelligences. Language, then logical related to mathematics, spatial, musical, calisthenic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, like that. And then later 2 more are also added, naturalistic and existential. Now in the present existing school system, only one method is applicable to all 40 or 45 children. We never, I think, given importance to the individuality of every child. Every child is different. But in this now, in NEP 2020, I think importance is given to each of the child. So therefore, the creative potential of every child has to be tapped. Then finally, it is about the building of social and physical and emotional capacities. Here also, cognitive only will be normally giving attention, but socially, how he behaves with his peers, in groups, ethical, does he distinguish between good and not so good, emotionally, whether he is strong or he immediately reacts to the situation. So all these aspects, in addition to the cognitive and physical development, these aspects are also touched in EP20. Next, please. I think we go for the vision of 2020. Education rooted in Indian ethos. I think mechanically the policymakers and administrators also have only seen, as I just mentioned earlier, cognitive and physical development. But not much of importance is given to the nationality, Indian nationality, the concept of Bharat, the values, the kind of culture we have, the kind of spirit we have. All those things were not given much of importance. So this is the time that all these also should be given importance in education. Equitable education and vibrant society, yes. No disparity among anyone, rural, urban, boy or girl, tribals, whatever. All are included in the education. So education for all. Respect for fundamental duties and constitutional values, yes. Bonding with the country. Conscious awareness of one's rules and responsibilities in the changing world. We are sometimes we feel so bad that we are not worried about our neighborhood, what is happening. One side we have good infrastructure schools, and across the wall we have all the slums. So therefore, respect for all the fundamental duties and education as a fundamental duty. All these also have to be included. And then commitment to human rights. So these are included in the NEP 20. Component. Now, I just broadly touched it. There are 4 components in this. So first is the school education. So in this, you have again structural revamp. Then you have curriculum and pedagogy about the teachers, about equitable education to all resources. And there is an important component that is school complexes that I touch when we go for that. In higher education, you have again changes are there. Institutional restructuring. So there restructuring is done. Multidisciplinary education, different courses will be given in the same institution. That also I just touch, but not much. Then you have other key areas like professional education, adult and lifelong education, use of technology and integrating with main course of education, digital education, I mean. So all those things will come in this. Then making it happen. So these are the 4 components as chapters are included in the NEP 20. I request all of you just to concentrate on this, because our further discussion will be based upon this only. So in this, on the left side, you see the previous academic structure, and on the right side, you see the proposed education structure at the school level. I just forgot to inform you. In the 4 components when we have talked in the previous slide, we are concentrating in this session only on the school education. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult to cover all the points at all. Okay. Maybe making it happen, I'll just pass on. Otherwise, mainly we are concentrating on the school education. So coming back to the structure. So if you see, in the left side, you have 10 here and 2. That's what we used to call 10 plus 2. For the age group 6 to 16, the schooling, and 16 to 18, sometimes junior college, sometimes higher secondary school, whatever. For the CBSE, this 10 plus 2 is the same. When you come this side on the right, basically it is 3 plus 2 equal to 5. The gray area is the same. 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Coming totally to the 15. So the school education now hereafter, if the document is in principle accepted by the policymaker, by the government authority, so it is going to be 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. That is totally 15 years of school education. So what is the difference then? The difference is not at the higher level, but here at the bottom. The 3 years are added before the standard first of the existing system. So in this, we give it the names different. For example, it is maybe play schools, maybe preparatory schools, maybe LKG, UKG. So all those 3 years are added here. In addition to this, the grade 1 and 2 are also added. So therefore, 3 plus 2 now is going to be called the foundational level. So this is very, very important change. Okay. So foundational school is 5 years. Then the preparatory for the grades of 3 to 5, 3, 4, 5 will come in this. Earlier, up to this, it used to be called primary. Okay. 3 plus 2 earlier. But now this again it is renamed. So 3, 5 is called the preparatory. Then middle, earlier this and this used to be called as secondary and senior secondary, but now let's concentrate on this. So class 6 to 8 is called middle, and 9 to 12 are integrated. Earlier 9, 10 used to be separate and 11, 12 used to be separated. But now 9 to 12 is called secondary. So that is the major structural change in the National Education Policy 2020. In case if you are confused with the boxes, we'll go to the next slide. There we will again just see the same thing in a different way, in an easy way. Yes. So foundational 3 to 8 years. Now in this it is age group, but otherwise it is 3 years below the grade 1 and then 1 and 2 grades. So it will come there. Preparatory 3, 4, 5 standards. So 8 to 11. Don't worry about this 8 here and 8 here. It is getting overlap. Doesn't matter. We are not strictly compartmentalizing. Then middle for the classes for the grade 6, 7, 8, 11 to 14 years. And then finally you have the secondary, the combined 9th, 10th with 11th and 12th, 14 to 18. So basically, actually, this I think earlier we used to start the standard 1 at 5 plus, but this looks like the entry at the standard 1 is 6 plus. Okay, so that's why it is coming to 18. Otherwise, normally, if the entry is at 5 years and 10 plus 2, so that it used to be 17 by the time that child ends his 10th standard. So 14 to 18, but still let us not worry too much about it. So this is how the new structure looks. Now let us just touch upon what is going to happen at different levels. Foundation. So it is really a good sign that the level previous to standard 1 in the existing system is brought into the formal schooling. The background for this is there is one NGO which Pratham has surveyed 26 rural areas all over India, and it has found that the results are really pathetic. Up to 16% of the children can only read the text at the prescribed level in the first standard. That means only 16% of the children can read at the prescribed level. Forget about the higher level. At the prescribed level, only 16%. 40% of the children were not even able to identify or recognize the letter. That was the condition. And if the same children are naturally going into standard 1, 2, and further ahead, what is going to be their condition? So cascading effect will be there. People say that the well beginning is half done, but here not even 16%. Where do the children go from here? So therefore, I think all these kinds of surveys must have prompted the draft committee members to include this. So therefore, and that Pratham also suggested the same thing. After the findings, they also suggested, I think they must have taken the cognizance of that. That's why they must have included in this. Okay. So therefore, this is very, very important. And in these foundation years, no formal books. That means for the first 3 years before schooling, and then standard 1 and 2 also present. That means standard 1 and 2 also there will not be any formal books. Then what the teacher is going to teach, what the children are going to learn, let us see. Therefore, there is no formal books, no formal tests. The children are not asked to sit in the examination at the end, maybe in the month of October or November, and again in the month of February, March. So therefore, no formal tests for these children at all. And emphasis is on the language and literacy. So therefore, here, the foundational literacy and numeracy is given a lot of importance. And as I told you, who is going to, what is the content to be taught if there are no textbooks? So for this, the National Curricular Pedagogical Framework, this is special body, National Curricular Pedagogical Framework for Early Childhood Care and Education will be developed by NCERT. That will decide what are the things to be taught. Curriculum will be fixed based upon the the teachers are going to engage the children. Therefore, this is very, very important and very positive point of the NEP 2020, basic point. In urban schools, they must be doing already. In urban schools, the system is already there. But otherwise, in the governmental system, this is not there. Even in the Kendriya Vidyalaya, the KG section is separate. Their teachers are appointed separately. Their funds are separate. So therefore, that has not come in the formal school. But now it is going to be made in the formal. Then in the preparatory, building on whatever has happened till the standard 2, it is going to be taken forward. Here, incorporating light textbooks, light in the sense content-wise. It will not be heavy for the children. Light textbooks will be there. And hereafter, there is not much of a change, but still, we will see later. More formal ways of learning starts here. See, the teacher is teaching something. Children will be writing something. So therefore, but at the same time, informal interaction will continue. So this is kind of complementing each other. Then focus on still reading and writing. Just one more point, let the slide remain, but one more point is, in case if the children are still not ready for the standard 1 from the early 3 years of education in the foundation stage, it is proposed to have 3 months bridge course. So course correction suggestion is already made. It is sometimes it may not be possible that all the children are ready to school to go to the standard. So in case such children are identified, 3 years bridge course also will be given to these children, and then seamless transformation should take place from the stage of preschooling to the standard. Okay, then we can go to the next please. The middle stage, I think this is again kind of a transition stage when we compare with the existing system. After primary, they are coming to secondary. So children are growing in age and their mind also. So therefore, introduction of subject teachers, subjects are going to be added. Now you have mathematics separately, you have language separately, then you also have science, general science separately, social science separately. So therefore, introduction of subject teachers start here. This is as per the international norms. In India, actually, till primary, existing primary, one teacher is supposed to engage the children in all subjects. But for the sake of convenience, we divide. This teacher will teach English, this teacher will teach EVS, this teacher will teach mathematics. It's not like that. But now I think we are going as per the international standards. So therefore, introduction of subject teachers start here. Then abstract concepts in subjects. Because their thinking capacity, we feel that it is going to increase. Therefore, abstract concepts like maybe day and night, how it is happening, how the matter is behaving, the way it is, then how the planets are moving. All those are the abstract concepts, isn't it? So therefore, now such concepts will be introduced in different subjects. And also the experiential learning starts here. This is also one more important thing. Even though CBSE has given so many guidelines how it is to be done, but let us see how really it is to be included in this. So in this, for example, as I told you, why matter is behaving in the way it is. So let him experience, let the child experience and reflect on it. Why it is happening like this? Then based upon that, he himself may contemplate something else. Otherwise, why this flower has this many petals? Why this plant is bearing only this kind of fruit? So all this, let the child reflect upon this and then conceptualize himself and then experiment again. So that is how it goes on experiential learning. Naturally, the teachers will be guiding them. Then exploration of relation between different subjects. In this, actually, we have seen that subject teachers are different. Different subjects are also there. At the same time, let the child also try to relate how mathematics can be introduced in geography. Is it possible? Can we just have compartment? Science and mathematics relation is anyway there. But mathematics and geography, is it possible? Or chemistry and geography, is it possible? Mathematics and language, is it possible? Possibility is there, yes. So therefore, let the child explore the relation between different subjects. Yes. Then we have vocational subjects. In addition to these compulsory subjects, the child also will be exposed to variety of vocations. Here, the document says it doesn't say only this kind of vocational subjects, whichever are there around, because there are so many schools in rural areas and in different states, different kinds of vocational, different types of artisanships are there. So therefore, depending upon the local conditions, let the child be exposed to variety of vocational subjects. I don't think there will be any kind of testing or assessment taking place, but just have the knowledge of vocational subjects. Then next is 10-day bagless period. This is going to be very, very interesting. In any year, the child is supposed to engage himself in 10-day bagless periods. This is also called internship. How? If he is interested in games and sports, let him go to stadium and spend with the players. Maybe it is the sports he likes, adventure sport. Maybe agriculture in rural areas if the child likes that. Maybe if he likes music, let him go to very well-known personality in that area, maybe the guru, and sit with him and then learn something. So all these, there are no boundaries for this. So whichever the child feels is interested, so let him go there and have kind of internship. So he is experiencing all those things. Now the people may ask that this was done earlier also, like preparing kind of project, but project submission only was seen earlier, but how the child is experiencing himself is brought out here. So this is also another new idea that is introduced, 10 days, 10 periods in a year. Secondary stage, this is where we have multidisciplinary subjects. Again, completely different from existing. Earlier it was compartmentalized, but here multidisciplinary, different subjects can be chosen. You have variety of choices also in this. Greater, in this part, actually the child will be going through the greater depth in the subjects because child is growing, greater critical thinking, greater flexibility in choosing the subjects. Yeah, next slide. Flexibility in choice of subjects. For example, in 11th and 12th, the child can choose physics, chemistry, mathematics, and commerce, or with geography in economics also. Variety of the subjects, whatever are there in the list, he can choose. Earlier, there was clear compartmentalization.
Mr. Rao, can I pause you for a minute?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, one of the questions that I was burning to ask you for a long time is when you're saying flexibility, multidisciplinary, are our school systems geared up to be able to offer you these? Because
this is a big question, because when it comes on implementation, you have all the lists. For example, even if you feel that out of 40 children in a section, if all the 40 children go for physics, chemistry, and mathematics, but for the other subject, for the fourth subject, if, for example, 3-4 children choose geography, 3-4 children choose economics, 3-4 children choose biology. So the school administration will find difficulty in, number one, making that teacher available.
True.
Number two, preparing the timetable. Making the teacher available means it is economically not viable for the sake of 2-3 children. He cannot appoint one full-time teacher. So, and then also preparing the timetable is going to be very difficult, not possible, but it is going to be difficult. Therefore, a big question. So, how the management is going to see this is a big question. But there is a thing, in the sense, if the school has already, again, when we compare, because for the sake of understanding, let us compare the existing system. If the school has already running science stream, commerce stream, and humanities, absolutely no problem. But there are certain schools in which only science is there. So in such schools, I think there is a limitation. You are correct. Right. You are
and what I'm also sensing as you speak is that आजकल जो होता है management school में, you have floating faculty. The same person is going around and teaching in different management schools. That could be a possibility that the school administration should be open to, is what I'm thinking.
I think that I just touch, I think in my introduction I mentioned the school complexes. Okay. So I think that at that point I will just touch on
All right.
school complex. Okay. So here again, no specific streams are going to be there hereafter. So he can break the chains and choose whatever he wants. In principle, that I would like. Okay. Okay. Then you also have this where you have the what is here actually? I'm not able to see.
Vocational courses.
Okay. Yeah. So this is also another point. Vocational courses in some of the schools. This is already there, but the thing is here. If the children up to 10th standard, if he has studied certain subjects, and if he wants to shift vocational, that can be done. Absolutely no problem. So he can shift from the 10th subject, completely different subject in the 11th and 12th. So now curriculum and pedagogy, this is going to be very, very important. All our attention will be drawn here because even in the document also, this is the biggest chapter. Chapter number 4 is biggest chapter, and that is what is going to be very, very important. So curriculum pedagogy, it is supposed to be holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging. So how is it going to be holistic? All-round development in the brain, as it is visible here. And it is something which is earlier teacher used to teach and the children are supposed to learn. But now child has to himself has to learn how to learn, learning to learn. So that means child he will be given chance for that. Away from rote learning, so something really related to the critical thinking and his own reflections and experiential learning, all those things will be coming. Then integrated with what? So in addition to normal subjects, whichever he chooses, 21st century skills also are going to be integrated in this. Critical thinking, leadership qualities, flexibility, productivity, moving in a group, communication, all those things will be added in this. Then integration with art, integration with sports, all those also will be coming into this. Then enjoyable, in the sense reduction in the curriculum. Already it is spelled a long time back, maybe definitely 5 to 7 years back, it was spelled that the curriculum is little too heavy, particularly up to standard 10. So therefore, it is thought that by reduction of the curriculum, they wanted to concentrate on the competency levels of the children. For example, I teach chemistry. In 9th and 10th, regarding structure of atom, the children also are supposed to learn the relation between the amount of substance in terms of mass and number. This much of sodium contains how many atoms, this much of water contains how many molecules, like that. So some calculations have to be done. But at 9th and 10th, I think it is not required. So instead of that, anyway, in 11th and 12th, when they are going for specialization of things, they are going to learn. So therefore, reduction of the curriculum to be done at the same time, whichever is existing, it has to be enhanced. It is to be done properly. Same way in the, for example, if you take language, for example, most of the time importance is given to the kind of prose lessons. But if you include at least on equal footage about the poetry and dramatics, the participation of the children will be even more. When it comes to poetry, the child will be able to enjoy in his own way. In poetry interpretation, nothing is right or nothing is wrong. You can be wrong, I can be wrong. You can be right or wrong, isn't it? Similarly, dramatics, the children will be able to participate and enjoy themselves. So that is how it is to be done. And then no hard separation of curricular and co-curricular. Wow. Earlier, whatever is happening in the classroom is curricular. Whatever is happening outside the classroom, like every Saturday you have co-curricular activities period. In that, literary, cultural activities will be taking place in the ground. All the games and sports are taking place. But now, there is no separation. When at the end of the year, if the child is given any report card, the assessment in co-curricular activities also will be on equal footage as the curricular activities. So therefore, integration of this is also done over there. No hard separation. Then, further in curriculum and pedagogy, always we used to say the teachers have the habit of, even if some guest also comes, they used to give the sermons like every child should have scientific temper and all. Okay, let them have. But now the atmosphere is, the ambience is given for the children to have scientific temper. When you go for the experiential learning, that's what you are giving him the opportunity. Similarly, the creativeness, innovativeness, evidence-based thinking, all those things, collaboration, teamwork, all those will be coming in. Then the sense of aesthetics and art. So when the co-curricular activities are integrated, this is what happens. The sense of aesthetics and art also will be developing. Oral and written communication is further enhanced over here, further consolidated here, because in the first two stages also we told the same. In the beginning we have said foundational literacy and numeracy. So till 11th and 12th also this continues. Physical fitness, proper importance is to be given for the physical fitness and well-being of the children. All are to be done here. And what is the last time, Mahesh? Last point.
Digital literacy and coding.
Yeah. And one more thing in this. Actually, in addition to all the common subjects he has chosen, the child also will be exposed to the variety of the skills. The skills also are to be integrated. So all these are different skills only. So the child has to learn compulsorily. So in the curriculum, all these are integrated. Earlier, we used to say that life skills are something different, soft skills are something different. They were never taught along with the subjects. Now, all these life skills, whatever we call skills, also will be integrated with this. And then the contemporary subjects are also given importance in this. For example, the artificial intelligence. But I would like also to say that, as I told you, this curriculum and pedagogy is one of the longest article in this. In 4.25, I think, it also speaks about the mathematical thinking. I think earlier we never encountered that kind of a term. Always used to say scientific aptitude or scientific thinking, all those things. But now it is mathematical thinking. So the digital literacy, numeracy is different from the mathematical thinking. In mathematical thinking, all this will be coming. Artificial intelligence, design thinking. Sometime back, I think Mahesh also has arranged one webinar on design thinking in life. So that was general. But now see, it is coming into the school curriculum also, design thinking. So this also will be added. That is in mathematical thinking. Data science, computational skills, all those will be added in this also, okay, contemporary subjects. Global citizenship, when so many unpleasant things are going on, so we should think and act like global citizens. That also will be there. And then what is the last one?
Mathematical thinking.
We have already spoken about that. Okay, next.
So if I can just pause you here for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about mathematical thinking. I was looking up the statistics some time ago, an hour ago, on the number of engineers we have in our country. It is close to 3 million. As of 15 July this year or last year, I don't recall, 80% of them are unemployed. And where are we?
I think not employable also.
Yeah. My question is, if this is the state of affairs of the colleges and the products that we are creating out of them,
True.
Why is that there is so much focus on mathematical thinking as opposed to, say, logical and critical thinking is what I'm left wondering, that's all.
Yeah, that is true. But that's what. So, unfortunately, mathematics is taught like a subject. Okay. So, when the children are exposed in the line of mathematical thinking, for example, just now, sometime back I have given. So, if the flower has 5 petals, other flower has that many. And what could be the reason for that? And if you have a kind of space is given to you, and if you have to design the staircase to the upward, so in which minimum area you can do that, minimum space you can do that, all those kind of things, even simple things also. For example, Mahesh, I can tell you, if you ask any child, maybe a standard 10 children also, show some banana and ask him what could be its weight.
Hmm.
I think with 50% of even if he says also, will be happy. So therefore, the mathematics, as long as you start as a subject, then you don't have the thinking of it. And even if you ask him generally, so what will be the length of the laptop? Again, so that is where mathematics, they also feel that it is like a subject letter study, but not as the thinking which is going into that, they are not able to. That's why they are unemployed. And this is the major problem.
Yeah, I agree. See, because I share this, I keep sharing this pain with many people, and I'll reiterate this on this forum also.
Yeah.
For example, I still don't know, my honest submission, why I should learn to multiply 1 by 7 into 2 by 9. And to this date, I put these arrows and do the calculation if I have to.
Yeah.
And in your own subject, Mr. Rao,
Yeah.
I don't know how the damn S in the equation when SO2 becomes SO3. H2SO4 ऐड करो तो अलग हो जाता है, HCl ऐड करो तो अलग होता है, concentrate ऐड करो तो अलग होता है, dilution करो तो अलग होता है. So there's so much of it. I don't know where I'm using it.
Yeah. That is
where is the usability of this knowledge? Are we really looking at it as a part of the education policy? Is my question.
Therefore, that is the reason, reduction of the content.
All right.
Wherever it is useful further, that only need to be continued. If it is not useful for the sake of studying, there is no use at all, isn't it? This is a simple question you asked, but the one example I gave, that this 23 grams of sodium contains how many atoms? Who is going to bother? It's standard 9th and 10th. Atoms are not even visible to us. Isn't it? So that I think it looks like that is the idea. That is the idea. Okay. Now we are going to very, very important. So I always feel teaching is one part. Maybe when you come to the teaching profession, you are good at your content, you are good at your concepts. You also may be good at your communication. You are able to transact in the classrooms. But unless you are not good with the tools of assessment, what way the child is to be assessed in each of the topics, and you are not a complete teacher. I always used to say to my teachers also, because otherwise, if this trait is not there in a teacher, why the children has to come to the school? They can go to any of the tutorial classes where B.Ed is not required. But the teacher has supposed to be completed B.Ed, supposed to be professional. So therefore, he or she should be able to assess properly all the competencies as per the level. So therefore, now here, I think the parents also need to understand this properly. So focus on assessment. Now, I already touched earlier that the focus of assessment is not from the rote memory, but only on the subject competence. The focus is to be done on that. So it is not going to be formative, no more. It is going to be formative, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. It is not going to be summative. Summative means either at the end of the first term or second term, it is like that. Formative means continuous throughout the session. For example, it can be as small a period like 1 week. If you teach something, after 1 week, you can go for a formative test. So it is to be like that. Here, the course correction is very easy to be done. For example, when you teach something, if the child has understood it, just assess it, and if yes, go ahead. If not, take a course correction. So that is why it is to be. That is how it is to be done. And then also it is competency based. It is not on memorization. This is what the document says. It is not based upon the rote memorization. In this, mostly what may happen, define this. How many states are there in a country? So all this is kind of a rote memory only, isn't it? Similarly, state the Newton's third law. So this also simply has, isn't it? Various, what is Ohm's law? So instead of this kind of rote memory, the competency based, on the same concept, you can have different varieties of tools to assess. So that kind of assessment is going to take place. Then semester system also, maybe modular tests. So semester system already existing, but I think it will be consolidated. Then you have
2-level subjects.
no, I'm prioritize. I'm coming.
Okay.
Then school examinations at the school level, examinations will be conducted for the grades 3, 5, and 8. Mahesh, Dr. Mahesh, this is going to be a gray area because clearly it is not mentioned in the document. If this is going to be the school level examination, then what about the 4th standard, 6th and 7th standard? So what I feel that some other agency may be giving the question paper, not at the board level, but maybe at the limited level. And then the school will be conducting the test. Instead of the question paper being prepared at the school and being conducted, this is what is my understanding. But beyond that, I think the clarity is not given, school level examinations. But definitely there will be examinations at the 3rd, 5th, and 8th. So at a periodic stages, the exam is going to be there. Then 2-level. Already CBSE has come out with the mathematics, for example, higher level and standard. Even Mahesh, when I was studying my 8th standard, that time the Andhra Pradesh state, at 8th level we had composite mathematics, such a big book, and then general mathematics.
Right.
But equal footing. So recently CBSE has brought up. But the suggestion by the committee, as per the document, is that this can happen in different subjects. I think this is also going to be good news. So, for example, those who want to pursue science subjects in 11th and 12th, for them higher level of science can be given. As I told you, if the one who is not going to pursue science in 11th and 12th, why he has to know so much of depth knowledge of the structure of atom, and why sulfur dioxide and dilute and concentrate.
Yeah, seriously. That would have saved me a lot of trauma.
Yeah. And it is really trauma, I tell you. And unfortunately, no one must have understood your difficulties. Isn't it? And for the board examinations are going to be there for 10th and 12th. They are going to be continued for 10th and 12th. But here, there are 2-3 points. The question paper can be objective and descriptive. That is one. Then at 2 different times, the children can go for the examinations. One is normal and other for the improvement. Earlier, improvement was not there. If you are in compartment, then only you would have given. And if you go for 2 examinations improvement, the best of the 2 will be considered. So this is a positive point. Otherwise, whichever you take the later, only those marks to be considered. But now, best of the 2 will be considered when you take examinations for the improvement also.
Mr. Now I'm just being mindful that we are hit the clock at 9.
Then just I think just quickly I'll try to.
But we can take 5 to 7 minutes more. And there are some questions. One of the questions people have raised, I don't quite recall who has raised this question, but I will bring it to your attention. I'm sure you're going to respond to that.
Fine.
Education in mother tongue. That is
that is there. That is there. That I am coming.
Okay.
So 5 minutes now. So in that
case, we can take 5 to 10 minutes. That's fine.
So implementation. Okay, I think we are on course. So when this document is ready, so there are 3 stages for this. Okay. First, what is to be taught? What are the areas to be included in the curriculum? So that is the job of the National Curriculum Framework for the Schools of Education. Okay, NCFSE. Earlier it used to be called NCF only, National Curriculum Framework. Now it is called National Curriculum Framework for the School Education 2021. So this body has to prepare the curriculum at different levels, starting now from the age of 3 till age of 18. The curriculum framework is to be done with the help of various bodies. Then the next stage is content is to be prepared based upon this curriculum, because curriculum is the basis. On that basis, the content is to be prepared. This is to be done by the NCERT and the state Council of Education Research and Trainings in different states. So NCERT in collaboration with the SCRTs and other bodies The content is to be prepared. Content I mean in a term textbooks. What I mean. Okay. Then the assessment. How we just broadly we discussed how it is to be done, what is to be done, but how it is to be done. What are the tools to be prepared? Now, for this, there are various boards of assessment and National Assessment Center, but there is one more, PARAKH, PARAKH. It is Performance Assessment Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. Shall I repeat it? Performance Assessment Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. That means we are going back to chapter 4 again. So whatever was discussed in that, based upon that, this PARAKH has to prepare, has to set the norms, set the standards, set the guidelines, and monitor also. Whether it is being implemented properly or not, it is to be monitored also. And maybe over a period of time, if there are certain stumbling blocks, then share the best practices among different authorities, and then taking the course correction. So this is how it is to be done. So those three are important components. I just go to the last slide, teacher slide, then we'll come back to that.
Next slide, is it?
That is teacher. So far we have talked about the parents' concern and children's concern, and then we'll continue. But let us see what is there for the teachers. Now, the job of the teachers is never challenging than at this period of time. Teachers have to be really resourceful. Really, they should have the aptitude for the teaching. Otherwise, over a period of time, they will have their own natural death. Unless the teachers are really good, then they only will continue in the system. Otherwise, it is going to be difficult for them in the survival. The society is not going to allow them. Any mediocrity will not be allowed. So what are the stakes for them? The teacher eligibility test at all levels, till now only at primary level and secondary level, I think that is only up to 8th standard. But now at the foundation level, at the primary level, at the middle level, and at the secondary level, all levels the teachers eligibility test will be there, and they have to clear the test. Okay, so all the teachers have to clear the test. Then the career progression, career
management,
professional development. Okay, so in this, every teacher has the one who is really good, outstanding, they will be given this kind of a advantage that their promotions will be seen, whether in the same level or in a vertical level, horizontal level, whatever. So that is also assured here. Then we also have the career continuous professional development. For this is new thing. I think I really like it. 50 hours in a year, teacher has to spend in addition to his normal jobs for the upgradation by attending seminars, extra lectures, extramural lectures, workshops, whatever. It is, I think, essential. 50 hours in a year, every teacher has to attend. For the administrators also, the principals also have to attend 50 hours of such courses in the administration of the running of the schools, maybe training of the teachers, all those things. This is compulsory. Okay. Then we have also professional standard setting body for the teachers. So that will decide what is the role of the teacher, what are the tools for the appraisal of the teachers. Till now it is only standard, you simply go on ticking it, and it is mechanically done, a kind of a ritual every year. But hereafter the appraisal will be done very periodically and properly it will be done. Then pre-service programs, in-service programs, all are to be done by this. And one good thing is that no transfers on a regular basis. Now, the big organizations, government organizations like Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti, they even have the transfer policy. Every staff has to be transferred. For the TGTs, after this period, for the principals after this period, they have put on the website also. But as per this, it says, because as such, good teacher is not available uh, these days. So therefore, if the teacher is really good, the teachers will not be transferred unless there is any administration need or any personal requirement. Otherwise, teacher will not be transferred. So therefore, that is what. And hereafter, 4 years B.Ed course is compulsory for all. This is going to be very, very important. Earlier, graduation plus 1 year B.Ed, but now 4-year integrated course B.Ed only will be there. In the higher education, I just brush up. There are 4 years of graduation. The one who is completing 4 years of graduation, they'll have 1 year B.Ed only. They need to go by 1 year only. Those who have 3 years of graduation, they should go for two years of B.Ed. But B.Ed, 4 years B.Ed is compulsory, equivalent. 4 years are equivalent. B.Ed is compulsory for all. And the B.Ed courses only are given by multidisciplinary institutes. Now, hereafter, standalone B.Ed colleges will be closed because lots of unpleasant things are going on. Proper teaching is not taking place. Sometimes without having attendance, also they are giving the degrees. Therefore, what I mean multidisciplinary is that if engineering college is there, that college also can give the course in B.Ed. Medical college is there, they also can offer B.Ed. So that kind of multidisciplinary institutes are going to come up. That is given in the higher education, but we have not touched that. But because it is relevant, I am just making a point here. So standalone B.Ed colleges will be closed down completely. So we hope that really good, well-trained professional teachers will come out of these institutes. Now we'll go back to the consent of the parents.
That is a great story to hear.
I really. Now,
yeah.
what I say, Mahesh, there are certain regional engineering colleges are there with the 5 different zones, and they give this integrated course. And the teachers coming out of that are really, they are the teachers. You can clearly make a difference between the one who is coming out of National Institute of Education, they are also called it, and then from normal B.Ed. So
Correct.
they are really trained. I think if all teachers are trained at that level, our institution schools will be very good. Coming back to the concerns of the students and parents, medium of instructions in the document it says, I think the section 411 to 422, it is based up, it is touching the medium of instruction and also about the various languages, the classical languages and importance of language. Actually, it is also a big chapter, but let us limit ourselves to medium of instruction. As per the document.
Hey, some of you are having your microphone on. Please mute yourself.
As per the document, if possible, the medium of instruction till 1st standard and up to 8th standard, it should be done in mother tongue, regional language, local language. So there is a difference between these, but still, for the sake of understanding, we feel that whatever is language spoken in that particular area. So it can be mother tongue, it can be regional language or local language. So, but what I just want to inform the parents, let us not worry about this at all. It says clearly, if possible. And practical problem also is there. If some parent is shifting his family, let us say from Hyderabad to Mumbai, if the medium instruction is Marathi in standard 4, how the child is able to start learning Marathi at standard 4. Therefore, practical problem also is there here. So, but it only says medium of instruction. But I also would like to add one point here. The research says that any kind of abstract concepts will be learned easily in the mother tongue. Even if the medium of instruction is something different, first the child will be thinking in the mother tongue and then translates it into the medium of instruction. That is one thing. And there is also a subtle difference, a major difference between medium of instruction and learning a language. For example, if the parents feel that my child speaks good English, therefore I would like to say, no, my child I would like to send to the English medium school, therefore he can speak good English. Both of them are completely different. So you can have your medium of instruction Marathi, but still you can learn English very well as a different subject. So learning of subject is different and medium of instruction is different. But let us not worry too much about the medium of instruction as per the document. It says clearly, says that wherever it is possible. So let us not worry about that. I think the same system may continue. Okay. Then Three language, I think one of the participants, I think the point must be clear to me. Then three language formula, here also let us not worry, but a three language formula up to standard 8 only, grade 8. But here it says clearly that three language should be of Indian language. So foreign language cannot be included till 8th standard. Okay. So therefore, three languages, your medium of instruction will be there, your mother tongue or whatever you feel regional language, and you can choose Sanskrit or whatever. I would like just to refer here Navodaya Vidyalayas. Navodaya Vidyalaya, for example, where I worked, it was in Telangana, and then some children from Bihar also came. So Bihar people start learning Telugu in standard 6 to 8, and they have done very well. Our children went there and they learned Hindi, and people going to Rajasthan, they also learn. So therefore, it is not difficult thing, and children can learn the language quickly at that particular age. So therefore, on that point also, let us not worry too much about that. Choice of subjects. Yes, I told you there is a variety of list is there. It is exhaustive. You can choose any of the choice of the subject. But as earlier we discussed, because of the logistic problems, ultimately you may have to go as per the subjects offered in that particular college. Otherwise, you may have to move longer to the school where your choice of subjects are taught. Then foreign language at the secondary stage. If the child wants to go for example, foreign language, French, Japanese, Chinese, whatever, German. So that is only possible from the 9th standard also. Then finally, coaching classes. Again, the concern for all the parents. Document clearly says, at one point, it clearly says, if the child is going to the school regularly, properly, and doing minimum things, it is not that simply he has to toil in the school, doing minimum things in the school, he or she can easily pass board examinations with good grades. The remaining time he can enjoy, go to the ground, go to swimming pool, go to horse riding, or enjoy with the family, friends, everywhere. But nowadays, coaching classes are there, even from the standard one, they are only babysitters, nothing more than that. And there is a lot of contradiction of the methodology, teaching content between school and the coaching classes. Therefore, the document clearly says if these methods are implemented properly, child will be enjoying and also scoring good marks at this level. Now, the same thing I cannot say when it comes to 11th and 12th, because there the question is that between the demand and supply, less number of seats, more competition, therefore they may have to travel. But up to 10th standard, absolutely there is no need to have any coaching. I think with this, whatever I thought I should cover, I must have done.
Yeah. Can I take some questions, Mr. Rao?
Yeah, welcome.
All right. There's some questions which are really interesting stuff people have brought. So I will just get there. One of the things which I also asked you, from which year will it be implemented?
Yes. Now, when it comes to implementation, one more thing, because there are so many agencies, and also because this is concurrent list, so also related to the states. So the first thing is that National Curriculum Framework for the School Education 2021. In the document only it is given. So by 21, if they prepare the document on this curriculum part, then the next comes for the preparing the content, NCERT and SCERT. Minimum 2 years they will take. But what I feel that if they start from the bottom, they cannot straight away start at all the levels. That is never possible. Okay. So therefore, what I feel, if that is the case, present the children, those who are in 9, they'll be going continuously with the old system. That's what is my thinking. This is only my guess is as good as anyone's guess. But that's what, because present 9th, when they go to 10th, they will not be affected at all. Present 8th, when they go to 9th and 10th, possibility, but that also is little remote, because getting the content in such a short time is very, very difficult. Yeah. And there are different agencies connected to it at every level. It has to be done. And one more important thing is, first of all, it has to be, I don't know, it will be discussed in the parliament, and then formal acceptance will come, that all those things are different. But otherwise, even if it is to be done, it will not be done immediately. It will be done in much advanced intimation will be given. Unlike, I think in 2009 and 10, we had all teachers, parents, students really horrible time of implementing the continuous and comprehensive evaluation. In the mid of the session of the 10th class, they knew. Nothing was informed to us, how it is to be done, what are the tools, how it is to be done, nothing was informed to us. But I hope, because the present minister is little proactive, I think he is going to see that it is not going to happen also.
Yeah.
Therefore, let us not have too much of thinking on this and then how to send them. No.
Ashish Sarkar says, Ashish Sarkar says the CBSE says from 2023, but I've been having conversations with several people, including Mr. Rao, who say it is going to be bottom up. It will begin from the bottom, and as you said, 9th standard will not be impacted because that's going to get into.
So it matches Mr. Sarkar also. So 23 10th and 25 is 12.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely right. So it is for those levels, and it is going to be bottom up. One of the things people, I think Ashish also said why NEP didn't speak about standardized mandatory salary structures. I think it is probably outside the scope of this body to talk about salary structures. I'm not sure. If you have
that is what now the body which I told you, Parak, is going to decide that also.
All right. There's going to be
implementation will be left to the different states.
Yes. Yeah. And there is also a question on focusing. If the G. Srinivas Rao is saying the teacher education is not reformed, it becomes very difficult to improve numeracy and literacy. So my question in conjunction with Srinivas Rao's question is, what is the policy saying about the current teachers? Because we all agree that current lot of teachers we have, most of them, I mean, with due respect to all the teachers on this group and in the world, many teachers have come into this profession because there was no other job available. Yeah. Whether we like it or not, that is a matter of the fact.
Yeah, we have to accept.
Right. So not, these are the teachers who are here with less passion and more need to survive. So what is the policy talking about? How do we do transformation of these teachers? Is there anything on that?
Yeah, the document has touched it at one point. So though, one is anyway, it is very clear about the 50 hours per year. Okay.
Right.
So they have to improve themselves. And they will be assessed regularly. As per the Parak, they will be assessed regularly. And I also forgot about one point about the promotions. It says the tenure. Tenure means actually service counted after the confirmation. Okay.
Correct.
So the tenure doesn't guarantee you any kind of promotion. So I think in the teachers, we started at the mediocrity to meritocracy and then branching out, isn't it? So there it clearly says that if the promotions or the vertical movement or the horizontal movement in the same levels or at different levels only will take place based upon the feedback of the appraisals. Okay, if they are good, then only. Otherwise, they'll be given some more training. So they'll be expected to reach to that level. Then only they will be going further.
Mr. Rao, I'm fully with you on that. But as an administrator, as a supervisor, as a part of being different policy committees, you will agree with me, like in a private sector organizations, I do a lot of stuff to train people, but I know in the heart of my heart, Mahesh cannot go beyond this. What do I do? Is the policy saying anything to exit these people?
Presently, in the policy, normally they won't also include such things.
Yeah.
So, it will come separately in the form of legislation. It will come.
Okay. Yeah, because we know it. Some people can't go beyond a certain stage.
Yeah, that is in our terms it is called deadwood.
Yeah.
Deadwood is to be taken out.
Yeah. So thank you so much to you, Mr. Rao, for being here and sharing your thoughts candidly as an administrator, as a teacher, as a part of being in the policy, because you did mention that you had access to this policy a couple of years ago when it came for draft reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure all of us, like me, would have been benefited. And some anxiety
Yeah.
gone down is what I'm thinking based on your presentation.
So in case if the any stakeholders, parents, children or teachers also have any doubts, if you can flash my email ID to them.
Yes, I'm doing that. Madan Rao.d@gmail.com is
I should thank Dr. Mahesh Deshmukh and Maruma Consultancy Company for giving me
it was our pleasure to
sharing
host you.
these things with all my
And
stakeholders. Some of them are
allow me-
Mr. Srinivasa, I am able to see on the screen.